British Forces News has discovered that a Taliban commander serving a 20-year prison sentence is routinely allowed to leave jail unescorted. And when he is behind bars, he's also allowed to have his young son stay with him. It's all part of a deal to reward him for turning his back on the insurgency. And the hope is that other fighters will now follow his lead. Jeff Mead has this exclusive report.
Newly opened, the overseas-funded provincial prison in Helmand's capital is a showcase, a gleaming contrast to the cruelty and insecurity often found in other Afghan jails. Foreigners are proudly shown round and surprised by life on the inside. Long beards and ready smiles, they could be benign grandfathers, yet the 1,000 inmates include 134 murderers and 478 convicted insurgents. Almost certainly some of these men will have British blood on their hands. Just back from a drive down to the bazaar, Abdul Ghani spent years fighting ISAF. Now he's a trustee, allowed to come and go and have his son alongside him in jail, having renounced a life of hatred and violence.
He's a Taliban commander. He openly admits that he used to lay IEDs. He's been in gunfights with ISAF. When he arrived here, he was aggressive. His attitude was, I want to kill the staff. And in a matter of months, they've changed his mindset. What they do once they come to us is we take the opportunity to develop these people. And if we can give them a skill set that stops them going back out and getting involved in these atrocities, and if it saves one soldier, it's worth the effort.
So dexterous hands that may once have made bombs now rebuild motorbikes. And razor-sharp shears are trusted in the hands of criminals learning new trades. While for the literate, even newer skills.
If
a person comes here, from example, from insurgent sites, if you punish him here, if you beat him, if you torture him, he will, these tortures will affect negatively on him. And in the future, he will be against of the government again.
Though cells are carpeted and relatively comfortable, with radios and even music TV the Taliban so detested, they are crowded. A severe staff shortage means half of the accommodation can't be used.
Not perhaps to British standards, but progress has to be measured by what went before. This jail literally was just a compound where jungle law prevailed. The warders, fearing for their own safety, would catapult food from these towers to the inmates crowded below.
Handling beads instead of bullets, the inmates seem generally content.
I don't feel that I'm in prison. Even I feel that I'm in my home.
The danger comes from outside, with constant vigil against an enemy attempt to break out their soldiers and set back what promises significant success in turning the Taliban. Jeff Mead, Forces News, Lashkar Gah.
And Jeff joins us now live from Camp Bastion. Evening to you, Jeff. Are there rather mixed feelings there about putting this level of trust in a man like this?
Well, I think you've got to remember that Abdul Ghani himself is an exceptional man and an exception. His circumstances, as is often the way here, are quite complex. He was actually denounced by the Taliban to the authorities after he refused an order to carry out a suicide mission. So that betrayal, in a sense, makes his renouncement of his former comrades understandable and perhaps less difficult, but the government very adroitly is using him to send a message to those still in the insurgency, and it is, come in, confess your crimes, and life inside won't be too harsh. Now, that may be difficult for the families of Britons killed and injured out here, but it might also be necessary to persuade the militants to lay down their arms. And as President Karzai said at today's international conference, the Taliban themselves remain central to any peace.